had a during my clinical training we had to do a family therapy. And the one that I had to work with was a young teenage girl who was trying to seduce her stepfather. And the stepfather had enough sense to say, we've got to get something done. And the background of that was that her father and her was very, very close together.
Okay.
And when she was about 11, he was diagnosed with cancer. And as the cancer progressed, he became more and more painful and more difficult to relate to. And one night she ran in and jumped on his bed, and he knocked her off the bed and said, get out of here. And she went, and as she walked out the door, she said to herself, I wished he was dead, and he died that night. Now her saying that didn't cause it.
Right.
So when she becomes a teenager, she also took care of the kids a lot when she was 11. So she was, in her mind, the mother of the family. So when the stepfather comes in, she says, if I'm evil enough to kill my daddy, I'm evil enough to sleep with my stepfather. And that's an illustration of a person who is so involved in guilt that they find ways to even make life worse.
Sure.
And I believe that we can only be released from guilt by forgiveness or punishment.
Okay.
We find a way to forgive ourselves, if we're spiritual, to understand God's forgiveness, and when possible, to seek the forgiveness of the other person.
Right.
We can't make that other person forgive us.
Correct.
So that we either find forgiveness and we forgive both ourselves and the others, or we find a way to punish ourselves.
Right.
So that's the guilt part.
Okay.
And pain, Viktor Frankl believed, and I accepted, that we as humans have one freedom that can never be taken away from us except with death, or with the inability to have any conscious knowledge.
Uh-huh.
And that is the freedom to choose what stand we're going to take against our problems. So that even the person who's in ICU and who's suffering tremendously chooses his attitude toward his suffering.
Okay.
And so that quite often, as hypnotherapists, as you know, we can help people relieve pain. But we can also, for those who's leading toward death, and all of us are going to die sooner or later, which is the third part of the unholy trinity, is that we can help them better deal with their situation and the pain they're experiencing by our thoughts.
Okay.
Quite often I have people to go back in their mind to a time when they really felt good, and to just enjoy that time.
Sure.
And quite often when they did that, they left their pain here because their mind was over there, and they had some peace and comfort.
Yeah.
So the working with those three aspects of our being is so important, I think.
Absolutely.
And as hypnotherapists, I think we can do tremendous work to reduce pain, period. I've gone into a room in the hospital where I worked there at Methodist Hospital for years, and the person being in excruciating pain and leave, and they would be feeling much better. I had an interesting situation. Got a referral, and I went in and I gave the explanation of what hypnosis was, that her doctor had referred me, did a session with her, and when I left, she just was at peace and was just dozing off to sleep. So I came the next day, and I said, how you doing? She says, well, Chaplain, you didn't hypnotize me. I said, what do you mean? Well, I heard every word you said. I said, well, how did you feel when I came in? She said, I was in excruciating pain. How did you feel when I left? I was feeling comfortable. I went to sleep. I said, well, you see, it doesn't matter whether you hypnotize or not. You felt better. So this time, when I put her into hypnosis, went through the procedure, and when I started to count her out, I said, I'm going to count to 3. When I reach 3, you will not remember anything that had occurred since the time I asked you to close your eyes. So I come in to see her the next day. How'd you do it? Oh, I did okay, but said you didn't hypnotize me. I said, I didn't. She said, no, I went to sleep as soon as I closed my eyes. So some people you just can't convince.
Can't win.
But the results was what was important.
Yeah, exactly. So the three components of the unholy trinity are guilt, pain,
and death.
And death, okay.
And those are things that we can work with, and I work with at the death side as well as the others for, 20 plus years at Methodist Hospital.
Sure,
And
yeah.
being with patients while they were dying, the process up to the time they were dying, having the family deal with the death as well. And one of the things I did for people who were dying was to let them, is something we're familiar with is unfinished business, which you've got something that you need to deal with before you die. And would have the person imagine those who came while he was in the dying process, how they related to him, the ones that didn't come, and the ones he needed to come to terms with before he died.
Okay.
And in that way, quite often a person who had 2, 3, 4 months to live, 2 or 3 weeks to live, 4 or 5 days, could get that person in and say, son, when I spanked you when you were little, there might have been a better way to discipline you, but I never hurt you for any extended time. I did it because I loved you, stuff like that.
Okay, great, excellent. So, Chaplain Durbin, you have a absolutely wonderful website that folks I love to go to and find information, lots of articles on.
It's simply www.durbin, D-U-R-B-I-N, hypnosis, Hypnosis, one word, .com. And I have over 100 articles on hypnosis and related subjects.
Great
myself
articles.
And others. Straight hypnosis, stress management, death and dying, Viktor Frankl, Albert Adler.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
Right.
I'm frequently going there looking for information.
That's I'm retired now, so keeping up my website and doing research and to provide. In fact, I told my son, who's my webmaster, I'd do the day-to-day work with it, but if there's anything major that he changes. And I told him, I said, look, I've got web traps. And if you put one in a quarter, it'll last for about 5 more years.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'm hoping that even when I'm gone, that my website will still be sharing information.
Okay,
with
great.
others.
It's a wonderful resource. And your book that you have available is
human hypnotherapy for body, mind, and spirit.
Okay.
And it can be ordered from my front page website. You can't buy anything on my website. You can go somewhere else, and it goes to my publisher.
Okay.
And you can order it from him. And
Okay.
It's a very I think it's a very good book.
It is. It's an excellent resource.
Kind of a textbook from getting started all the way through to complex therapeutic cases.
It is. Yeah. Well, Chaplain, thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you. I'm glad to be with you.
And this is Hypnosis Health Info, and I'm Roger Moore.